My son glanced at his in-laws, smirked, and mouthed, "Trash stays outside." I took my husband's arm and quietly walked out. Later, my daughter-in-law asked about the usual monthly transfer. I answered, "That ends today." And by the next morning, the entire house was in chaos. My name is Evelyn Hartwell, and I am 60 years old, an age when a woman is supposed to feel certain things: steadiness, clarity, perhaps even gratitude for the life she's managed to build with her own hands. But the night everything cracked open, I felt none of those things. I felt only the echo of my son's words so soft they barely disturbed the air, yet so sharp they sliced through every layer of composure I had learned to wear over the years. It happened at the Wycliffe family dinner, the kind of evening where tension sits at the table like an extra guest no one acknowledges. Tight smiles, measured compliments, and the unspoken expectation that I, the outsider, remain agreeable. Nathan and Bethany had insisted we meet at her parents' home in South Park. It's simpler, they said. They said. Simpler meaning not neutral, but territorial. A home where the Wycliffes ruled the atmosphere, curated the conversations, and treated me like background decoration. Still, I tried. I always had. I sat with my back straight, hands folded neatly, and offered small smiles whenever someone looked my way. My husband Martin stayed beside me, his hand finding mine beneath the table whenever the room grew too sharp. He has always sensed the tremors in me before I speak them aloud, but I did not sense the moment coming. It arrived quietly, like a match struck under a tablecloth. Someone made a joke about outsiders not understanding proper etiquette. Another smirked. A ripple of condescension passed around the table like an inside joke, and I, foolish, hopeful, leaned toward Nathan and reached for his arm, intending to steady the air the way mothers do, to smooth the edges before they cut too deep. He didn't even look at me fully. Just a brief flick of his eyes, then his lips moved, barely a whisper, almost invisible. "Trash belongs outside." I didn't hear the sound. I heard the meaning. I felt it more than anything. The casual cruelty, the tiny smirk afterward, the mirroring smirks from the Wycliffe relatives who had never sacrificed a thing for him. They didn't know the years when Martin and I worked extra shifts, or the late nights I sat at our kitchen table budgeting out which bills could wait so I could help Nathan with his student loans. They never knew the hospital bills, the car repairs, the rent shortages, the countless little rescues that allowed him to breathe. They had done nothing for him. Yet he performed belonging for them, and I became the price of admission. Martin saw the collapse in my expression before I truly felt it. He reached for my hand under the table, steady and warm, the anchor he has always been. "We're leaving," he murmured. And I didn't argue. I simply stood, my chair scraping softly against the polished floor. Not a single person tried to stop us. The Wycliffes only glanced up briefly, the way restaurant patrons glance when a server drops a tray. Momentary interest, mild annoyance, nothing more. Outside, the night air felt too thick, as if my lungs had forgotten how to draw breath. Martin guided me to the car without a word, offering silence that held me instead of pushing me aside. The entire drive home passed without the radio, without conversation. Just the weight of that whispered insult pressing deeper and deeper into my chest. By the time we pulled into our driveway, I felt hollowed out, like something had been scooped from my center. Then my phone buzzed, a message from Bethany, monthly transfer today. No greeting, no acknowledgement of the scene at dinner, no concern, just her usual monthly reminder, impersonal, cold, like I was one of her automated bills. I stared at the screen, and in the quiet, something inside me, something that had been shrinking for years, lifted its head. I typed slowly, deliberately. Not anymore. I set the phone down. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the enormity of a line finally drawn. Inside, our house felt unfamiliar. The air didn't move. Martin hung his jacket on the chair instead of the hook, a tiny sign that his thoughts were tangled. He finally asked, "Evelyn, what exactly did Nathan say?" I sat on the couch, the cushions sinking beneath me like I was sinking into myself. "You saw it," I whispered. "You know." He nodded, jaw tight. "I need to hear you say it." So I did. He called me trash in front of them, and they smirked like they'd trained him. Martin's eyes darkened. "I should have done something years ago. Every jab, every look. I let them chip away at you." "You didn't fail me," I murmured. "I let it happen too. For peace." He shook his head. Peace shouldn't cost your dignity. His words were gentle, but they cut, because they were true. I told him I'd texted Bethany, that the transfers were finished. He exhaled, almost relieved, though a shadow lingered on his face. They won't understand, I whispered. They don't need to, he said. The phone lit up again, then again. A series of vibrations buzzed across the wooden table like a frantic heartbeat. Texts, messages, calls, all from Bethany, all demanding. Monthly transfer today. Nathan said to remind you. Every word was entitlement distilled. Martin placed his hand on my shoulder. Whatever you write next, I'm with you. So I wrote it again, not anymore. This time, everything shifted. The phone buzzed harder, calls now, longer messages. I didn't answer. I simply walked down the hallway, leaving the device trembling on the table like something alive. By morning, the phone had finally gone quiet. But inside, everything was loud. I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in years. Inside were the folders, records of every transfer I'd made over 7 years. $300 here, $1,200 there. Thousands upon thousands. Student loans, car repairs, rent, down payment, emergency funds. A trail of generosity I had told myself was love, but which had slowly become obligation. Martin stood in the doorway, watching me read through the numbers. You kept every record. I had to, I said, to remind myself I wasn't imagining how much I'd given. There were printed messages too, old promises from Nathan about paying me back, reassurances from Bethany about handling things next month. Promises that evaporated when life steadied. This is the truth, I said. Then let them see it, Martin replied. Before I could decide what that meant, a knock sounded at the door. It was Caroline, our neighbor. She shifted nervously on the sofa and confessed she'd overheard the Wycliffes mocking me at a barbecue, a month before. Jokes about how they relied on Mom's help, comments about how I lived to be useful, quiet manipulations they used on Nathan to shape him properly. Hearing it secondhand was somehow worse, like my dignity had been handled carelessly by strangers. After she left, Martin told me something he'd held inside for years, that he had once confronted Nathan about his disrespect, that Nathan brushed him off, and Martin, fearing I wanted peace more than truth, had stayed silent. For the first time in days, we sat shoulder to shoulder, our breaths in sync. We faced the next part together, he said. We didn't wait long. At 6 that evening, Nathan and Bethany arrived, impatient, indignant, ready to assert control. The doorbell rang twice in quick succession. Martin opened the door before they could press it again. They walked in like people accustomed to being accommodated. We deserve an explanation, Bethany announced. You will have one, I replied. I gestured to the table where the folders were arranged neatly. Sit. They did, though unease flickered across their faces. I slid the first folder toward them. 7 years of support, I said. Every transfer, every emergency payment, every bill I helped cover. Nathan's face paled. Mom, I told you I'd pay you back someday. You did tell me, I said, and I believed you. The second folder revealed Bethany's messages, reminders, requests, demands. Her jaw tightened. We were under pressure. So was I replied. But I never treated you like an obligation. Then I spoke the truth they hadn't expected me to voice. Last night, Nathan called me trash, and the people who smirked with him have been living off my support. Bethany sputtered. That's not... It is, Martin cut in. Someone who was there told us. The room shifted. Nathan lowered his head, hands covering his face. I didn't mean... It doesn't matter, I said. Because even if you hadn't said it, this was coming. The support ends. The expectations end. The disrespect ends. Bethany's voice sharpened. So you're abandoning us? No, I said calmly. I'm letting you stand on your own. They left soon after, shaken, unsure, unprepared. But the night wasn't done. Nathan returned an hour later, alone without Bethany's armor tempering him. He looked lost. Mom, they're in trouble, the Wycliffes. Bad trouble. Debt. Loans. Things they never told me. His voice broke as he confessed everything they had hidden from him, their dependence on my money, the debts they were drowning in, the manipulations they used to control the narrative. Why didn't I see it? He whispered. Because they shaped the story, I said. And you let them. He didn't argue, didn't deflect. He only nodded, shame heavy on his shoulders. The next evening he returned again, this time for something harder. Mom, he said, standing in front of me, I owe you a real apology. He spoke of the times he hadn't protected me, the words he had repeated without thinking, the approval he had chased at my expense. His voice trembled, but he didn't look away. When he finished, I said, I forgive you, but things cannot go back to how they were. I know, he whispered. No more monthly support, no more emergencies I'm expected to fix, and no more letting others tell you who your parents are. He nodded. I'll stand on my own. I want to earn back your trust. And for the first time in years, I believed him. When he left, Martin slipped onto the couch beside me. You did the right thing, he said. I know, I whispered. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I've come home to myself. He wrapped his arm around me. So what now? I leaned into him, letting the quiet of our living room settle around us. Not a suffocating quiet this time, but a liberating one. A quiet born not from fear or suppression, but from reclamation. Now, I said softly, we build our life on our terms. And for the first time in years, the future felt like mine.